Welcome to the most listened to golf in the world, the Fairways of Life show, on air, online, and around the world, with the most candid interviews, unforgettable stories, taking you beyond the ropes. Here's your host, New York Times bestselling author Matt Adams.
So congratulations to Team Europe, winners of the 2025 Ryder Cup. The final tally, all hands on right there, 15-13 in their victory over Team USA. Team Europe has now assembled a record of 9-3 since 2002. Here is how the 3 days actually played themselves out, just to kind of remind all of us of how the table was set for what was a very dramatic Sunday and ultimately victory for Team Europe. On Friday morning in foursomes, which as you know is alternate shot, Europe led 3-1, very quickly feeling like they had let air out of the balloon for the U.S. side. Now, in the afternoon four balls, which is better ball, if you please, Europe still won 2.5 to 1.5. So after day one, Europe had a commanding lead of 3 points. Saturday morning, full of hope, possibility, everybody's ready to go. Morning foursomes, exact same score. Europe comes out of it 3-1. Afternoon four ball got worse than the day before, 3-1. So after Saturday, Europe had a commanding lead of 11.5 points to 4.5 for the USA. Everybody went to sleep on Saturday night realizing that the greatest comeback since continental Europe joined the Ryder Cup in 1979 has twice been coming back from 4 points adrift. The United States did it in 1999. Europe did it, of course, at Medina in 2012. Sunday singles. The USA goes out 8.5 to 3.5 was the final tally. It got very nail-biting for everybody, regardless of what side you were on, as those final moments ticked to their conclusion, which ended up, as you can see, Europe 15, the USA 13. As to the notes that lead us in reflection on what has taken place. And I'm going to jump back the other way and lead us to the moments as well. But first, only the third time since 2004 that Europe has won the Ryder Cup on American soil. They did it at Oakland Hills that year. In 2012, as mentioned, at Medina. And this is the fifth time since 1979. Luke Donald is just the second European captain to win back-to-back Ryder Cups. He joins the status of a legend and a World Golf Hall of Fame member in Tony Jacklin, who did it in 1985 at the Belfry and 1987 at Muirfield Village. Winningest European Ryder Cup players. This is all time. Lee Westwood, 7 times. Sergio Garcia, 6 times. This stat is of note because Rory McIlroy just joined the party. He's done it 6 times. Europe is the first team to win each of the first 4 sessions of a Ryder Cup on away soil. That is all time. The European side won just 1 singles match. That was Ludwig Oberg over Patrick Cantlay. That is the fewest since 1959 when Great Britain managed just 1 singles win. It's the lowest total in years in which there were 12 singles matches. That's how dominant the U.S. was in that last session. Finally, right, if you're a USA fan. The American side earned 8.5 points in singles. In fact, they matched the highest total during the era of 12 singles matches. Scotty Scheffler is the first American player ever to lose a match in each of the first 4 sessions of a Ryder Cup. All right, so now I promised you that I would take you to the point of how it happened. Ramey Burns, former European Tour player. This is courtesy of SiriusXM as we take you back to the exact moment that Europe secured the Ryder Cup going back across the Atlantic.
This is a big moment for Shane Lowry. We know he's had big moments in the past, but to hold a 6-footer to retain the Ryder Cup in Bethpage, New York from 6 feet. Straight putt up the hill, ball is on its way. Ball is on, and he's hold it! And Shane Lowry has hold it! Europe have retained the Ryder Cup. He's bouncing around the green. The Europeans are coming over the green. Darren Kenny is jumping around the green. What unbelievable scenes here from Shane Lowry from Europe. What a scintillating match this has been. The United States have really put it up to the Europeans today. But what a moment for the Irishman, the man from County Offaly. He's a big man for big occasions. Tell me this, what's the emotions like after that?
Amy, I can't, honestly, it's the most amazing.
Come here, He didn't bring one for me.
Honestly, the most amazing.
You've won big tournaments in your life. You've been around a long time. Your family, your friends. I believe you became an uncle today.
I thought after Port Rush I couldn't do any better, but this tops everything. This is it, like, for me, and I'm going to fight my nuts off over the next 2 years to make that team in a Dare Manor and try and experience this again.
Yeah, well, congratulations, man. I'm really proud of you.
Thanks.
And Ireland's proud of you. Europe's proud of you. Thank you.
All right, that was Raymie Burns. This was a celebration afterwards after they drenched each other in champagne. Apparently, Shane put on his European Ryder Cup PJs. And after some horrific singing in the team bus, I assume this is them going back. I love how they change the words to Rory, 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 with the Ryder Cup in hand. So I think this is them unloading at the hotel. So you can see which players chose to wear their champagne-drenched tops. There he is. Luke changed. He was pretty well soaked. Sept. So they all came marching off the bus. And then we have one more video. There's Rory. Oh, he's still got the champagne bottle in his hand. This was back on the coach again. Yeah, in a lot of ways, that song they were just singing is true. And there again, the great photo as they clinched victory. And when they clinched victory, Luke Donald, he said it a couple times. I watched him a couple different interviews where he said, hey, this is like the worst 12 hours, whatever. But it was immediately, they put a microphone in his face. Dom, do you have any transcripts of those interviews as well? So right at the moment when it was secured, do you have what Luke said?
I do, yeah. I'm happy to read it. You want me to read it, man?
Yeah.
Luke said, this is the first thing Luke said. I mean, like, as soon as it happened and the microphone was shoved in his face, he said, "It's been the most stressful 12 hours in my life. Shout out to the Americans, Keegan, his captaincy. I knew it would be tough. I didn't think they would be this tough on Sunday. They fought so hard, and all the respect to them, but this means a lot, obviously, to me and the team. We came here knowing that the task was very difficult. I couldn't be more proud of these guys and what they have done through, how they have come together, how they are playing for history, how they are playing for the people that came before them. And now there will be talk for generations to come as someone going down in history. I couldn't be more proud."
All right, end quote. That was Luke Donald immediately after they secured bringing the Ryder Cup back across the Atlantic. Andrew, could you go back to that close-up shot you have of Luke from the press conference when he was addressing the full media, the whole team was? One of the things I love about this is if you look in the lower left-hand corner, there's a bottle of something right along the Ryder Cup trophy. And I just think it's classic that is the case. So I want to cut to some sound here because we've got a lot to go through with you in today's show. And it is about this man. It is about Luke Donald, where the European team was asked about his captaincy. John Rahm weighed in on it, and then Luke himself kind of jumped in to try to put his captaincy now into context.
There's so many things that Luke has done outstandingly, professionally, so perfect that it's hard to say one. Without getting too much into it, the level of professionalism he's showed us the last 4 years, his attention to detail and his pose, and his knowledge of the Ryder Cup and the game and what we do on the golf course day in, day out was made these last 2 Ryder Cups possible. He's the captain of this ship, and he's led us better than I can see anybody leading us. He set the bar extremely high for the future captains.
Yeah, I really have committed myself to this job because I feel I owe it to the players, and I owe it to the Ryder Cup, which has been so special to me. I've had so many incredible experiences. So, yeah, I've had to kind of put my own game a little bit to the side, and every day I'm trying to think about things that could help us, come up with different things that might just give us a little edge. You know, we came into this in New York. We knew New York was not going to be easy. It was rough. It was brutal at times out there. It really was. It was nasty sometimes. But you know, I think when you prep these guys enough and you communicate enough with these guys and you give them a plan and an idea and a theme and a motivation, they don't really need motivating, but you know, the theme kind of causes the cohesion of the team. And you know, I was very fortunate to have 11 of the same guys from Rome, but and brother. My job is literally to give these guys a better chance to win, and can be as simple as some very small things. You know, I'll give you an example. At the hotel rooms this week, the doors to our hotel rooms had a big crack, and it let in light. We brought things that covered the light. We put different shampoos that had a better smell. We had the
Labo, if anyone's wondering, really nice. Really nice.
We changed the bedding because the beds weren't very good, and they just had sheets, and we created a much nicer bed so guys could sleep. They could have more energy. So those are just little things, but I mean, I'm going into some really small details. But
Snacks for everyone.
I tell you what, they won't need to change the bed linen in their manner. Let me tell you
that. 1,500 a night. But it's just taking the time and having the care that you want to do everything you can to kind of give these guys the best opportunity. You want to create an environment where they can succeed. These are 12 amazing players. We know that. So you're just trying to, again, put them in a position where they feel comfortable.
Incredible, isn't it? That insight is amazing. And one of the things that I enjoyed in particular is that, I mean, you guys know me. I love to know the why behind what took place. And you heard those comments from Luke Donald where he was talking about the little things that they did. You know, from bed knobs to broomsticks, the magic that they used to ensure that the players felt as comfortable as they possibly could. Light cracks in doors and pleasant-smelling shampoos or whatever direction. Obviously, he was touching on the minor, but there was also the major decisions that went into it as well. I appreciate the candor that I thought was a deliberate attempt to try to conceal in the greater story, which was the atrocious behavior of the gallery. This was a gallery that was empowered by the powers that be. This was a gallery that if there were animals behind a cage, they were groomed and fed to behave the exact way that they did. You knew this coming in was a risk, and you allowed it to take place. You fostered it. You provided the opportunity for the same. So I liked that once we were able to hear from the European side, and it wasn't just about filtered information, that they were very honest about what took place and how horrific it was. And we're still finding out more about that, including, you know, Rory's wife having a beer thrown at her and the things that were said, et cetera, et cetera. So there was this mix of celebration, which they rightfully deserved, but there was also this mix of anger in terms of how they were treated. And in fairness to Rory, he mentioned, which I think is reality, that it's always a tiny number of the total. I liken it to, say, 1 out of 100. But when you have tens of thousands, do the math. We have a lot to go through in today's show, a lot more for you guys to hear from in today's show, a sense of understanding the gravity of the victory that Europe authored, but also of the loss that once again will be carried by the United States side for another 2 years. The next time that this event will be played, you heard it alluded to, will be at Adair Manor in Ireland. What influence will that have upon that which lies in store? I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to go through that, but first we're going to go through what took place over the course of this past weekend at the Ryder Cup and what it all means. Newton golf shafts is certainly something that can mean a lot to your golf game. Newton golf shafts are made with the highest quality materials and precision engineering to maximize distance, accuracy, and control. Yes, these golf shafts can help you hit the ball straighter, longer, and with less effort. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, Newton golf shafts can help you elevate your golf game. Check them out today at newtongolfco.com. That's newtongolfco.com.
It takes focus, calculated aggression, and a precise mindset for shots like these. When the pressure builds, only the sharpest ball strikers survive. And Kurt Kitayama activated Weekend Warrior mode with a course record Saturday and a flurry of birdies Sunday. Congratulations, Kurt, winner of the 3M Open with the Tour BX mindset. Bridgestone Golf, the #1 ball fitter in golf.
FlightScope Mevo Plus is the ultimate indoor and outdoor golf launch monitor and simulator. It gives you the club and ball data you need with the accuracy you demand. Mevo Plus comes with ownership of simulated golf courses for you to play and practice at home. Mevo Plus is an essential golf partner to help you improve and understand your game better. Put more purpose in your practice. To learn more and get your Mevo Plus, shop now at flightscope.com.
Golfers today are a different breed.
Who? Me?
We see the game in a different way.
We all have our own style.
We swing our own swing.
We have one thing in common.
We are all about the details.
Introducing the Revel line of grips from Superstroke. With 3 distinct offerings to choose from, the Revel is in the details.
Our journey began with a simple yet powerful vision to provide the world with the highest quality Virginia-type peanuts. The Hubbard Peanut Company, where quality and tradition meet to create an unforgettable experience. Visit hubspeanuts.com to explore our full range of products and place your order today.
Middle market businesses are facing unprecedented shifts, which demand tailored solutions and decisive action. RSM stands as the unwavering leader of the middle market, empowering you to take charge of change and conquer this era of transformation. RSM. Experience the power of being understood.
Yeah, I mean, emotions of the week. I think you're always really excited to get these types of events started. Keegan and our vice captains put us in a position to succeed. You know, they did everything that was asked of them, and I had extreme confidence in what this team could do. And that's due to our captain. I think they did an amazing job. Keegan did an amazing job, and I mean, my emotions yesterday afternoon when the matches ended. I think it's hard to put into words how much it hurts to lose all 4 matches, to have the trust of my captain and my teammates to go out there and play all 4 matches and lose all 4. It's really hard to put into words how much that stings and hurts. And I'll go back and reflect on that. But one of the coolest things was these guys picking me up last night, and the guys on this team. This is a really special group of guys. We have a special captain, and I was proud to be standing there fighting with these guys today. And I think it showed a lot about our team. I think it showed a lot about the job that all these guys did to put us in a position to succeed. And I can't tell you how much fun it was watching Bryson in front of me hitting those putts, coming back from 5 down, walking down 17 and seeing JT hold that putt, walking down 16, hearing the roar for Cam. I can't tell you how much I needed these guys this week. And it's just a really special group. And it was probably one of the lowest moments of my career, but it turned out to be one of the most special just because I've got great friends in this room, and was really proud to be battling with these guys for 3 days. I think when I go back and look at the first couple of days of this tournament, at times it felt like a perfect storm of things were happening against us, and then today, we had some stuff that seemed to go right. And really, at the end of the match, I was just proud to be able to get a point up on the board. Like you said, it was a difficult week for me personally. And I was just proud to get a point up on the board and keep this thing alive for a little bit longer. And I can't speak enough to the fight that these guys have in this room. The battle that we, after the butt whooping we got the first 2 days of this tournament, to come back today and play like we did, I think really shows a lot of heart. I think it shows a lot of spirit within our team room. And like I said, I'm really proud of these guys, and I was proud to be able to keep this thing going for a little bit longer.
Okay, hearing from world number 1, Scotty Scheffler. What you guys are about to hear, if you're with us on the audio side, or see on the television side, I think it's going to blow you away. This is courtesy of Data Golf. This is the Ryder Cup strokes gained data. And let's just start right from the top because it's the most important stat of all of them. You'll know why I'm saying that in just a second. Strokes gained putting for Europe, they were plus 8.43. Plus 8.43. Europe, of course, negative 8.43. Strokes gained around the green. Europe was positive 1/10 of 1 stroke. That's a decimal. Strokes gained approach. USA plus 4.83, gained almost 5 strokes. Strokes gained off the tee, USA gained almost 2 strokes at 1.78. Strokes gained tee to green. Are you ready for this? Plus 6.51, USA. So in the balance of it, strokes gained total, USA was negative 1.92, almost 2 strokes to Europe. So it shows you right out of the gate that the difference was what took place with the flat stick. You hear it all the time. It's cliche. That Ryder Cups are about putting. Definitively, this Ryder Cup was about putting. I'm hearing kind of some of the responses starting that it's as if the Team USA was somehow a victim of exceptional play by Europe. They weren't a victim of anything. Europe played better. We just happen to know the exact area where they played better. There's a lot of different reasons why, and I'm going to try to get into some of those as well. Remember, Europe went in there a week early. There's a lot of things you can point to, but the last thing that Team USA was is a victim of anything. All right, Ryder Cup strokes gained leaders. Strokes gained putting. Sepp Straka, 3.63. Justin Rose is 3.28. Shane Lowry was 2.84. Again, no surprise that when you talk about strokes gained putting, all of the top 3 performers were on the European side. Strokes gained around the green. Number 1 was John Rahm at almost 3.5 strokes. Then Tommy Fleetwood, and then Justin Thomas. Tommy was 2.25 strokes. Justin Thomas was 2.01. Strokes gain approach. Tommy Fleetwood, positive just under 6 strokes. It's amazing. But then Cam Young was positive just under 4. Matt Fitzpatrick just under 4. Strokes gained off the tee. Bryson DeChambeau, positive 3.28. And when I show you the individual records in a second, you're going to see, again, you're leading that category of strokes gained off the tee, and it's kind of, this idea of if you can lead any category, and the big ballpark, as we heard said, the cliche a million times about Bethpage Black, although when we saw it actually after its setup, it wasn't quite the lion that we were led to believe, that leading strokes gained off the tee would be a great advantage. It wasn't when you look at the final tally of DeChambeau's performance. Cam Young, positive 2.10, just beyond him. Then Justin Rose, 2.01. Strokes gained tee to green. Tommy Fleetwood leading the way at 6.5 strokes. Cam Young is next at just over 4.5, and then Matt Fitzpatrick. So strokes gained total individuals. Tommy Fleetwood was positive 6.24. Data Golf tells us Cam Young was next, positive 5.06, and then Justin Rose, 4.59. Let's take a look at the individual records. Start with Team USA, first of all. Throwing a lot of numbers at you, but I think it's important to have this context. And there you see the performance leading the way for Team USA, Cam Young with an overall record of 3-1, and Xander Schauffele at 3-1. JJ Spaun, 2-1. Justin Thomas, 2-2-0. Patrick Cantlay, a disappointing Ryder Cup, 1-3-1. Bryson DeChambeau, 1-3-1. I thought at the press conference Bryson was doing everything he possibly could to lobby for future Ryder Cups and trying to make everyone understand how much it meant to him and and what he did on Sunday. But at the end of the day, his record was still 1-3-1. The records of the American team from this point on that I'm reading to you are all losing records. From Cantlay on. Sam Burns, 0-1-2. Ben Griffin, 1-1-0. I think Ben Griffin should have been played. That was another strategic error. He was coming in playing great. He played great when he was in there. 1-1-0. Scotty Scheffler, you just heard from, said it was probably the lowest of his professional days. 1-4-0. Harris English, 0-3-1. Russell Henley, surprisingly, 0-3-1. Colin Morikawa, 0-2-1. All right, as to the European side. Leading the way with 4 points was, no surprise, Tommy Fleetwood, his record 4-1-0. Tyrrell Hatton, 3.5 points, 3-0-1. Rory McIlroy, 3.5 points, 3-1-1. John Rahm made 3 points, 3-2-0. Matt Fitzpatrick, 2.5 points, 2-1-1. Ludwig Oberg, 2 points, 2-2-0. Shane Lowry, 2 points, 1-0-2. Justin Rose, 2 points, 2-1-0. Victor Hovland, 1.5 points, 1-1-1. Bob McIntyre, 1.5 points, 1-1-1. Sepp Straka, 1 point, 1-2-0. And Rasmus Højgaard, 0 points. He went 0-2. So that's a quick look at what the players did individually. I've talked about a lot of different things. I talked about the putting, etc. Justin Rose was asked about, he's the oldest player in the field at 45 years old. He was asked about this clutch putting and how he's able to do it, in particular when he competes at a Ryder Cup. And it was kind of a fun question and response because you could tell he was struggling to find an answer.
I wish I knew. I wish I could be a bit more selfish and know that 25 weeks of the year. But do you know what I mean? I feel like the power of this, the power of the group, who knows what it is, that ability to lock in, the ability to just want it that little bit more. I don't know. The answer to your question is I don't know, other than the badge and the boys, honestly. And yeah, that's all that matters. Yeah. The badge and the boys. Yeah.
The boys' badges.
I wish I putted better today, if I'm honest. Today I felt like I didn't putt as well, but you kind of live and die by the putter in match play, for sure. And there's always momentum swings with a putter. You make a long one, you steal something, you miss a short one, you gift something. There's a lot of pressure on the putter. Putter's a huge key, and obviously the way the golf course was set up this week as well. the putter was a very, very key club in the bag. And obviously, yeah, it worked beautifully for me for most of the week. And then I would say today I would probably rue it a little bit, if I'm honest. So, you live and die by it.
Live and die, indeed. Dom, did you do a question of the day today?
Sure did. It's a fun question, perhaps a leading question, Matt, for some discussion points.
A leading
if we
question?
take a break.
Never.
No, I've never. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Does the United States need to overhaul its system completely? Yes or no?
And?
I'm not telling you the answer.
No,
you should take a break or something.
You want me to tease that you're going to give us the percentages of
Yes.
voting when we come back? All right, if you'd like
Yes.
to weigh in.
Well, I also think it's worth discussing.
Fair enough. If you'd like to weigh in, folks, you can always log on to our Fairways of Life YouTube channel, and there you can find Dom's questions of the day surveys. We'll be back with more of the Fairways of Life show right after this. Make sure you check out benhogangolf.com. The benhogangolf.com website has all of the wonderful product that bears this man's legendary name etched right into the metal. I know how proud you would be to be playing Ben Hogan golf equipment, and there is that emotional attachment. I get it, I understand it, and I respect it. But there's more to it than just that. The technology in these beautiful pieces of equipment will truly help you to play your very, very best in a package that says you're serious about your game of golf. benhogangolf.com for more. More of the Fairways of Life show after this.
This is golf.
A shot, honey.
And this is Golf's Superstore.
Oh, yeah, we'll take this.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous Parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct-to-consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
We know there's more in you. More distance, more accuracy, more consistency. That's why we created the PXG Black Ops driver to unleash your potential. Packed with innovative technology and unmatched adjustability, PXG Black Ops drivers are custom fitted for your swing and engineered to maximize your performance. To play your best, play the best. PXG Black Ops drivers. Book your fitting at pxg.com or a PXG location near you. PXG, you've never played like this before.
Imagine your ultimate golf experience. There's a good chance it's Michigan's Magnificent 11. 11 spectacular courses from Boyne Golf, varied in both topography and play. Boyne Golf was named the #1 best golf destination in USA Today Reader's Choice 2025. And the Highlands at Harbor Springs is the #2 golf resort in that same USA Today poll. The ultimate golf experience. That's Michigan's Magnificent 11.
Hey, I'm golf broadcaster Matt Adams. You know, Hub's Peanuts has been cooking up the top 1% of peanuts for over 70 years. And these aren't your average nut. These are super extra large Virginia peanuts cooked in the USA. Family-owned Hub's Peanuts have more protein than any other nuts. So whether it's a boost on the course or a special gift, the variety of flavors guarantees Hub's Peanuts is just what you need. Family-owned, nutritious, delicious, and sustainable. Hub's Peanuts, it's just right. HubsPeanuts.com.
When you choose Newton shafts, you're choosing more than a product. You're choosing innovation, pride, and excellence right here in America. We pay attention to the minutest of details, and you can feel that in the performance of our shafts.
4! This is golf, and this is Golf Superstore, the only place you can walk in for a free driver fitting, have it built, and tee it up the same day. Try Fit and Go today.
we tried to set the course up to help our team. Obviously, it wasn't the right decision. I think anytime you're the leader of a team or you're the captain or the coach or whatever, we talked about this last night, you have to take, you're going to get the accolades and you need to take the blame for when things don't go well. And I definitely made a mistake on the course setup. I should have listened a little bit more to my intuition, and we, for whatever reason, that wasn't the right way to set the course up. We didn't expect the greens to be this soft. They were as soft as I've ever seen greens without it raining, and then, especially here, it can get pretty firm, and they never firmed up. We sat, or I did, and looked at a lot of info, and we thought this was the best way to set the golf course up to win. You look at past Ryder Cups, and that's kind of how it goes. But sometimes you got to make a decision on what to do. And if I could go back, I probably would have changed that. But the Europeans played just incredible golf. Doesn't matter how you set the course up when you play that well and you perform at that high level. I mean, that's as high of a level as the Ryder Cup team has ever played on for those 2 days, I think. And when that happens, they just beat you sometimes.
Keegan Bradley addressing the media following the loss by Team USA. I mean, there has been, there will be, and there will continue to be for some time, I suspect, a lot of questions about everything that's going on behind the scenes, including decisions that were made, which ultimately, as he admitted to, rest on the lap of the captain, because you are the captain regardless of source, whether you followed your intuition or that of another. The sending out of Morikawa in English caused a lot of eyebrows the first time, and then sending him out the second time was shocking to basically everybody. And both times they were definitively beaten. It's just ironic, isn't it, that those 2 points that went adrift, when it was all said and done, the difference between winning and losing, 15 points for Europe, 13 points for Team USA. That is far too simplistic a bridge to draw. Fully recognize that. I'm just saying there's an irony there nonetheless. So Keegan was asked about, is there anything that he would change given the structure for future captains?
No, I mean, I'm 3 seconds to 20 minutes after losing. I haven't put much thought into it. I do. I had to learn a lot on the fly. I had to rely on a lot of people. I was going up against an incredible team, and in my eyes, probably I think he's the best European Ryder Cup captain of all time, Luke Donald. And I did the best that I could, and trying to balance playing. But it's the most fun thing I've ever done in my life. I wouldn't trade any of this for a second. I woke up every day excited to do this. It turned me into a different person that I am today, that I'm very thankful for these guys for. Well, first off, the PGA of America put me in an amazing position to succeed. They gave me every resource. They gave me every option. I had everything at my fingertips. This is no one's fault but mine. When you're the leader of the team and you're the coach, the captain, whatever you want to call it, and you lose, you have to take the blame. This is no one else's fault. This is no one else's PGA of America or whatever it is. Sometimes you go up in sports, you go up against an opponent that sometimes beats you, and they play better, and they play better than us. We gave it a great fight, that's for sure, but everybody put me in the best position to succeed. It was a unique approach. And I had, like I said, I had to learn on the fly. But I had also been on a lot of these teams, and I had the resources of all the vice captains, but all the previous captains as well that helped me. And I think what the goal was to give the captaincy a fresh face of a different way to go about things. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. But we have some momentum going forward. I think we can continue down this road, and I'll help out the best I can to help the next captain or the next whoever it is.
All right, very complicated to react to what Keegan Bradley said there. Keegan's taking the weight of this upon his shoulders, and I understand that, and I respect that, as well as we welcome you back to our PXG custom studios. You've never played like this before. Log on to pxg.com and see why. But The record is 9-3 since 2002. And in those 12 captaincies, and Davis Love was there a couple of times, but in those 12 captaincies, you can't look at it and say every time that Team USA lost that it was the fault of the captain. I realize that that's the common default. That's the thing that everybody does. In Rome, it was the fault of Johnson, and this week it was the fault of, Bradley, etc. I get it. And there is, in fairness, reason to look at that and say, yeah, you know what? It's understandable why someone would say that. And in fairness, there were mistakes made by Keegan Bradley. I referenced one of them just a moment ago. That was a massive, massive mistake. One that seemingly everybody could see that train wreck happening in slow motion. But in terms of placing the blame on the doorstep of whoever that respective captain was, that's not enough. There's something more to it. Any more so than if you look at it from the other side, because it's always the same. When you lose, it's the coach's fault, and when you win, it's the player's fault. If you look at the European side, if I had the exact same question of you in direction and approach to say, who do you credit this victory to? Do you give 100% credit to Luke Donald? No one would say that. They'd all be like, no, of course not. But you're willing to give 100% blame to the captain? No, there's something out of whack there. And that could be part of the reason why it continues to happen on Team USA side, because instead of learning from one experience to the next, they have to learn all over again, anew, every single time. It's clear that there's mad talent on Team USA. I've never bought into the mentality of it means more to the other side. Don't buy that. I don't think that's the answer. Don, by the way, you never gave us the answer to your survey. Would you review for us what the question was in case people are just joining us and where we stand at the moment?
Absolutely. Happy to. My question of the day was, does the United States need to overhaul its system entirely? Yes or no? 84% say definitely needs to be completely overhauled. And there's lots of comments coming in. Keegan got every decision he made as captain wrong. Changing to foursomes on Friday. These are just some various comments coming in. Changing to foursomes on Friday morning was a dumb decision. Statistically, the Europeans are always better. What are you doing? It wasn't Bryson. Day one, Bryson was a problem. The greens were too slow. It was a setup problem. The fans were a problem. Derek writes, throwing beers at Roy's wife was so far over the line. Can I just comment about that specifically? Because video has surfaced, just for clarity. Someone was holding a beer in the – you can see this clearly in the video. Someone was holding a beer, and the person behind them whacked it out of their hands. And that is the beer that struck his wife's hat. Now, I'm not saying – that's still not a problem.
Yeah, I don't know if that makes it any better, but okay.
Well, the intent of throwing a beer at someone's face is different than some drunk person hitting a cup out of someone's hand.
Yeah, but the person swatted it in the direction that they swatted. I think they knew exactly what they were doing, but
I'm just providing clarity that there was not a person who grabbed a beer and purposely threw it at someone's face. That's not what happened. So, just saying. So there's lots of comments coming in, Matt, but they're saying that the system needs a complete overhaul. And I, as part of the rundown, Matt, I sent you sort of a priority list of problems. We don't have to go over them or even talk about that, but I think it's interesting. And I think there's a lot of layers to the issues. And I'm wondering if it's a situation where we do need to look at a list of problems and prioritize that list. What's the biggest issue? What are the top 3 biggest issues? Is there a way to judge that and then correct that problem specifically, or is this just a cocktail of crap and this is what happened?
Well, it's definitely the latter, but I do believe that there's an element of a systemic problem with what's happening. You heard me allude to the fact that this was a Ryder Cup taking place in the United States at Bethpage Black, obviously in New York, and the Euros got there first. Is there anything about that strikes you as odd? On the doorstep of the Ryder Cup and got their practice in the week before, so the rains that showed up the week of in the middle of the week really didn't impact them at all. They had already done all their mapping and strategy on the course. To the list that you were talking about and on this rundown, the first item and I'm going to try to bang through this list because Dom mentioned it specifically as quickly as I can out of respect, but there's also merit. The Ryder Cup point system failure is what he writes. He put failure, errors, etc. The editorial commentary after
this is not in a particular order, by the way.
Fair enough. What he's referring to there is that Ryder Cup points in the 2-year cycle, in the 2 years away, you get the points based upon money earned at the major championships. In the year of a Ryder Cup, those points are not only, and they're boosted from majors, but also from week in and week out events. So what the PGA Tour has done now is they now have these signature events, and because those signature events feature dramatically increased purses, you're going to get an inequity in the Ryder Cup points earned in terms of how it settles out for players. Here's, for example, the way that the Ryder Cup standings went, right? That's how Colin Morikawa, for example, ended up 8th because he was in those signature events versus Ben Griffin, who had a far superior year with multiple wins, et cetera, and in form, and he was below him on lists. Just giving you one example, right? I think no one's talking about it very much, but I think when you look back on the decisions made, I think that Keegan making a decision to not put himself on that team was a mistake and I'm not saying that in like rethinking some thoughts, because from the beginning I was in favor of Keegan being on that team. In the final standings, he was inside of the number, and while I think he would have been exhausted by the end of the week, I also think that he would have been in a position where when you're playing alongside of a playing captain, I think it would have changed the dynamic. I think it would have changed the entire feel. I don't know why so many of the pundits said no, he should play his role as captain only and let the playing go to others. In retrospect, was that the soundest of decisions? The putting, we've gone to the stats and talked at length about what happened with the putting and what it meant between the two teams. That over 8 strokes were gained on the greens by Europe just with the putter in hand, right? And if anything, that's the area where, because we saw the whole stat package, and Andrew, you can bring up that graphic again if you want to. We saw exactly what happened with the strokes gained, courtesy of Data Golf. And we know definitively where the difference was, because Team USA was on or slightly ahead in almost every other area. But putting was a difference. And then we heard with the shrug of the shoulders, well, sometimes you just get beat because the other team plays better. Part of that, I believe, is intestinal fortitude. Part of that is the preparation that you're going in with to ensure that you have the ability to perform at your highest level. And so part of that also goes back to course setup. The course was a powder puff for the best players in the world. The rough was too short. Did they know it was going to rain that week? No, but maybe they should have considered the possibility in September. So made the course gettable in every possible way, including coming into the greens. And the greens, obviously, because they were wet in the rain they got, were going to start out slower, etc. We talked about the fans, and I want to talk about that when we come back independently. The pairings we talked about, and if you kind of live and die by the sword. If you're going to use data to make decisions and then not use the data when an actual decision is made in the fight, then that inconsistency is going to come back to bite you. Data Golf told us the worst combination of 132 possible combinations was Morikawa English. And Morikawa English stubbornly was stuck to because of a plan, not once, but twice. Both were disasters. I don't think Keegan Bradley was a mistake as being picked as a captain. Keegan Bradley was brought in to be an agent of change. Unfortunately, I think for Keegan Bradley, once he was in the position, he got swept up with the same old, method of picking captain's picks, method of approach competitively, even to a certain extent by his own admission, the method of setting up the golf course. So what started, I think, with great promise of possibly a new direction, still raised a lot of questions. Some of the questions being, if you're looking for continuity and your ascension of captains, if you're looking to move away from a system that's dominated by voices from at least a management standpoint, players or otherwise, that have been part of massive failure for decades, then maybe this was a new departure. Unfortunately, I think in many ways, Keegan Bradley got swallowed up by what was. All right, more of the Fairways Life Show coming up after this. We'll wrap up the show talking about I've already mentioned it one time in the show, but the 800-pound gorilla in the room in terms of an American Ryder Cup and the fact that a lot of people are feeling pretty embarrassed by the way it played out from a fan's perspective.
I got ball fit in 2000, went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. I just got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
What does it take to be an original?
Cam knows something about that. So does Chi-Chi, Charlie, and you get it. In 1955, we stepped onto the scene. Now a new generation of pros are wearing the most iconic styles in the game. The fit, the feel, the look. It's all an expression of you. Original Penguin. Here for the good times.
Golfers today are a different breed.
Who? Me?
We see the game in a different way.
We all have our own styles.
We swing our own swing.
But we have one thing in common.
We are all about the details.
Introducing the Revel line of grips from Superstroke. With 3 distinct offerings to choose from, the Revel is in the details.
Want more distance, accuracy, and forgiveness with your irons? Yeah, you do. PXG's exceptional Gen 7 irons are custom fitted for your swing and feature unmatched precision adjustability to maximize your performance. To play your best, play the best. PXG Gen 7 irons. Book your fitting at pxg.com or a PXG location near you.
Nice, straight, and far.
Funnest experience I've ever had.
Would recommend it to anyone.
PXG, you've never played like this before.
FlightScope Mevo Plus is the ultimate indoor and outdoor golf launch monitor and simulator. It gives you the club and ball data you need with the accuracy you demand. Mevo Plus comes with ownership of simulated golf courses for you to play and practice at home. Mevo Plus is an essential golf partner to help you improve and understand your game better. Put more purpose in your practice. To learn more and get your Mevo Plus, shop now at flightscope.com.
When you choose Newton shafts, you're choosing more than a product. You're choosing innovation, pride, and excellence right here in America. We pay attention to the minutest of details, and you can feel that in the performance of our shafts.
how do you pick and choose when to interact? Yesterday on 16 in the afternoon, I heard some guy who was like, Roy, you're not that good. And you said, I'm really effing good. So
I am.
I know you are.
Really good.
I know. But when do you pick and choose when to interact with the fans? Obviously, there's playful banter involved.
Honestly, I'd say it's just on impulse. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I'm quite an impulsive character, if you haven't noticed. And sometimes I'll engage, and sometimes I'll catch myself and refrain. But I don't really choose when, and it's sort of sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
Would you be okay with another Ryder Cup in this area?
If the result was the same, absolutely. I don't think we should ever accept that in golf. I think golf should be held to a higher standard than what was, than what was seen out there this week. Golf has the ability to unite people. Golf teaches you very good life lessons. It teaches you etiquette. It teaches you how to play by the rules. It teaches you how to respect people. And, sometimes this week we didn't see that. So, no, this should not be what is acceptable in the Ryder Cup. But, we will be making sure to say to our fans in Ireland in 2027 that, what happened here this week is not acceptable. And it's, for me, it's, come and support your home team. Come and support your team. I think if I was an American, I would be annoyed that I didn't hear a lot of shouts for Scotty today, but I heard a lot of shouts against me. And it's like, support your players. That's the thing. So, look, it was a rough week for all of us. But at the same time, we shut them up by our performance and how we played, and we tried to, I chirped back a few times because it got to me a few times, but we tried to handle everything that came our way with class and poise, and for the most part, I felt like we did that. The police out there and the amount of the security presence was insane, and it's not look. Nothing was going to happen. Nothing was going to happen where there wasn't really going to be any sort of physical altercation or anything like that, apart from maybe Tommy and Rosie up to the 16th tee yesterday. But look, there was a lot of language that was unacceptable and abusive behavior, and but look, it's a minority of the crowd. It's not the majority. The majority of people here are true golf fans and are respectful, and let both teams have the same chance to hit the shots and play a fair contest. But there was a small subset of people that behaved a little bit differently than that.
With all that in mind, everything you go through, how satisfying is it to turn around to someone and say, quote, "Shut the F up," and then stiff it to 2 feet?
Very satisfying.
Congratulations.
These New York crowds are tough, and they had every right to be pissed off at us for, being down and being at their course and not performing at what they felt like. And quite frankly, I was nervous about today. But when, New York fans and hardworking people and, people that grew up around here see people playing with that sort of heart and that sort of passion and that sort of grit of not giving up, they get behind that pretty quick.
I mean, I don't think anybody's safety was necessarily in danger. I understand what you're saying. I mean, words hurt too. There's definitely some nasty things said, but I don't think anybody was necessarily fearing for their life or was in any kind of situation where they were going to get hurt. But yeah, I think it's anybody that was out there could pretty blatantly tell you that there were some things said. And yeah, it was. I mean, I said it to Cam and I said it to Shane and Rory yesterday that we felt for him. It was, it was unfortunate, and Cam and I just wish that we gave them something to cheer for instead of people to cheer against. I think that was kind of the main consensus of the last 2 days, and we weren't giving them enough to cheer for, and they were just trying to help us win. But I guess that's the New York fans for you.
All right, so you're hearing from both sides directly about the fans' behavior. As I mentioned, alluded to at least earlier in the program, I'm glad that this is an open conversation. I'm glad that this isn't something that's attempting to be swept under the rug as if it didn't take place, because it did, and it's not the first time that it's taken place in a Ryder Cup. The concern is the fact that, and I realize that there's a responsibility amongst the fans. And some of the video, in fairness, when people were yelling, F you, Rory, etc., there were other people in the gallery that you could hear telling them to stop, to not behave in such a way. We knew the story of the MC in the first tee that started such a chant, etc. So there were instances where it was completely and totally out of control. But as Rory referred to, the vast majority of the crowd did behave, and they were there for fun, and they were there for the right reasons. A couple of things that I wanted to clear up and mention. One of them is when people say, "Oh, it's the exact same when they're in Europe." It isn't the same when they're in Europe. I'm at all those Ryder Cups, and in the European Ryder Cups in particular, I'm actually between the ropes. So I'm between the fans and the players. And I can't think of any instances where there has been as blatant disregard for propriety, courtesy, and respect for a competitor as has taken place at some American Ryder Cups. So I guess what I'm getting at with this is what I'd mentioned earlier in the program, which is it's easy to blame the crowd. The easy path is to say, well, that's just New York. I grew up in that area. I don't think that's a fair assessment. New York sports fans are a demanding lot. There's no doubt about that. Tough. They know the game. You fill in which sport you want. They know the game. Right? But to just paint them and say, no, this is exactly what was going to happen with New York fans. I don't buy it. I believe exactly what happened was set up by engaging the masses in such a way. Every single question was, well, how do you think you're going to do with that New York sports fan? They were brought into the role that some of them, a very small percentage, assumed. And to the idea where people say, whether you're talking about a regular tour event or in this case, you're talking about a Ryder Cup, when people say, well, why can't you control when people act in a fashion that they shouldn't, whether they're yelling something at the moment of impact? The concern there isn't so much that they're yelling something stupid, which they do often, those that want to insert themselves. But the concern is at one point, either with deliberacy or under the influence of alcohol or whatever it is, that they get their timing off and it impacts a player's performance. There's been concern in that regard. Now with the proliferation of sports betting, for example, will someone deliberately engage in a behavior to impact the circle of competition? And a lot of people kind of shake their head and go, well, that's not something you really can control. Oh, really? What would we hear from Augusta? Hold my Dom Perignon. It can be done. And it should be done. Not only for the players, certainly, but also for the other 99.99% that are maybe have their kids there with them and they're there to enjoy a great competition. They're going to cheer for the good shots by their team. They're also going to cheer at a Ryder Cup by the bad shots on the other side. That's part of that competition. I get that. But vulgar attacks and more, that's something that really needs to be looked at. The last thing I wanted to wrap up with today was the so-called envelope rule. And some people using that as a scapegoat to say, well, if that wasn't in place, then Team USA would have an opportunity. That rule has been in place since 1979. When a player withdraws from the Ryder Cup singles matches, 3 times since 1979, that rule has been invoked. The first time was by Team USA. Steve Pate, who injured his ribs in a car accident that week, versus David Guilford. And I can remember talking to European captain Gallagher, and Captain Gallagher was pretty upset about it. And there was the inference in our conversation that there was some shenanigans going on in terms of the application of the rule, right? Interesting, because doesn't that sound very similar to what we're hearing right now? In 1993, it was Sam Torrance who had an infected toe. He couldn't go. Lanny Watkins actually wasn't in the envelope. He volunteered to be taken out because he said he was a captain's pick. There were players that earned their way onto that team, and he wanted them to be able to play. The first time, of course, his reference was back in 1979. It was Victor Hovland who had to withdraw. He was having trouble with his neck. He was worked on by a physio during Saturday's round, and he didn't feel that he was able to play. The player's name in the envelope for Team USA was Harris English. Both teams were awarded half a point, and with that, on the U.S. side, Keegan Bradley said this rule definitely needs to change. If you were watching the press conference last night, you had Luke Donald who said, no, that's the rule. That's the rule that's the way it's always been, and it's been applied before. That's the rule. So where you fall upon that, I do think it's worthy of a discussion between the teams. It would seem like in any other sport, as tragic as it is, if you can't perform, why would you still get half a point? Right? I'm just looking at it from a rationale standpoint, but I don't think there's ground at this point as though, once again, Team USA was somehow a victim of this rule. The points would suggest otherwise, given that it was a 2-point victory. But I do think that there's merit in them having a discussion and coming to a consensus in terms of where it stands. So when it was all said and done, and we're not done going through the bits and pieces of this Ryder Cup, because I think this is something that takes time to flesh out, maybe a full 2 years to Adair Manor. Congratulations to Team Europe. They sure as heck earned it. And for Team USA, what a spirited Sunday. It made it very exciting for that Ryder Cup to see what was going on, to see how close Team USA came to an absolutely historic comeback. This is the drama that the Ryder Cup creates. I don't think that the entertainment value of it all overcame the deep concerns in other areas that need to be looked at. But the Ryder Cup is golf's biggest event. And as it always does, it delivered. Thank you for your company, folks. Pleasure to have it. We look forward to next time. And until then, be well. Goodbye for now.